Yes, as
Show.
usual. Let me just start by giving my number. If anyone needs any holistic healing or naturopathic services, colon hydrotherapy, nutritional counseling, reflexology, hypnotherapy, wellness retreats, we provide all of that, and you can get more information at 410-435-9647. 410-435-9647, or visit my website at drakua.com.
All right, Dr. Akua. Spell Dr. Akua.
Drakua.
All right.
drakua.com, yes.
All right. Dr. Akua.
Yes. So I sort of just wanted to share some information, kind of highlight some things we've maybe mentioned already throughout the year. But since we're at the end of this calendar year, I thought I would just give some basic tips on how to eat healthy, my best recommendations on, some good healthy eating tips. Okay? So I'd like to just sort of run through those. We all know that we should eat well, and let me just be specific about what that means. Eat natural, unprocessed foods, organic if possible. There's something called the Dirty Dozen. If you're not able to afford strictly organic foods, you can look up the Dirty Dozen. These are foods that you should always get organically grown because they're typically very pesticide laden if they're non-organic or conventional.
Well, let me ask you something on that score, Dr. Core.
Sure.
Now, I know that that's the best option, the organic, the best option. But what about those of us who, our money is kind of tight?
Yeah, I understand.
No, and here's my question. Now I've heard, and I want you to let me know, apple cider vinegar. We soak the vegetables in apple cider vinegar. Did that pull some of those pesticides out?
Oh, yes, it can. And there are many things that you can do to detox the body of pesticides. Ionic foot detox, colon hydrotherapy, most blood cleansing or liver cleansing herbs are good with that. But even if you just focus on those 12 things, and there are things like seeded grapes, celery, spinach, certain things that can easily be purchased, like at Sam's, for example,
okay.
And you can get in bulk and at a good price. So it won't necessarily be a higher price. So sometimes we just have to refocus and just think about it and put a little bit of extra money into, those types of foods. But yes, if you can't, there are other things, and apple cider vinegar is a good start among other things. The other thing I want to point out is to not cook everything. If we can move towards a raw food diet where we're mainly doing juices, natural juices through a juicer, or even smoothies if people want to do smoothies with fresh fruits and vegetables, uncooked, that's even better. That's going to be more alkaline. That's going to be more healthy. We've not cooked all the nutrients out of it. So we should also move towards a more raw food diet. Mm-hmm. Ideally, 50 to 70% of our food that we take in should be raw. Yeah.
So explain why you on this the point of alkalinity. Explain how important it is to have our blood, the blood flow with as much nutrients in it as possible, because they're feeding our organs. Explain that for me.
Well, absolutely. That is exactly what it's doing. The purpose of eating, even though most of us don't eat for the real purpose or the real need, is to supply the body with all the nutrients that it needs to function. So for every cell, for every gland, for every tissue, every organ, every body system to function properly, there are certain vitamins and minerals that are needed for it to function, for us to move, for us to breathe, for the heart to function and pump as it should, for the liver to filter as it should. So we have to make good choices in terms of what we fuel our bodies with. Mm-hmm. So in other words, as to what you're eating. And so more alkaline forming foods will provide those necessary nutrients. A lot of times when we're strictly doing meats and cooked foods and things of that nature, we have to supplement, and we have to take supplementation when we could be getting our nutrients through our foods, if it's the right choices and if it's in the right form.
So in other words, you want to reach the body on a cellular level.
Yes, absolutely.
So that it make you stronger, and all your organs will get those individual specific things it needs, so that you can function like a full engine supposed to function.
Yeah. Exactly, for optimal health.
Optimal health.
Functioning.
I love
that
it.
is what we want. Yeah, exactly. And another big thing that we have to focus on is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is an essential nutrient. It's an absolute must. It's just we have to choose the right ones. So I'm not one of those that would say, oh, cut out all carbs, don't eat carbohydrates. We know that this is what provides the body energy. I just would suggest that we are cautious about what types of glycemic or starchy foods that we take in.
Okay, let's give a list of them.
Well, so my best recommendation with that is to follow the glycemic index. The glycemic index, you can Google it. You can go buy a little book. It's usually anywhere from $5 to $10, and it tells you the starch content of each food. And so once you kind of get to know categories of foods that fall in the low, moderate, and high starch categories, you'll know which carbohydrates to pick. So, for example, if we're talking about fruit, we know that the sweeter fruits are higher starch or higher glycemic foods. So things like pineapple, grapes, bananas, mangoes, these are higher starchy foods. So we want to really kind of limit those types of fruits.
Oh, I can't have my pineapple.
Well, you can have it in moderation, or if you don't have a glycemic issue where you're not eating too many starches, you're not pre-diabetic, or you're not hypoglycemic, if you're not overweight, if there are not any of those conditions that exist, sure, you can eat your pineapple. And it's not to say that pineapple is bad. Pineapple has bromelain, and it has some good digestive enzymes. It can be good for you. It is, however, though, more higher in calories and more starch than, say, an apple or a pear or a plum or a citrus fruit or berry.
So is it better to drink the juice or eat the fruit?
It won't matter. I mean, I think if you can eat the fruit, you'll probably do better. But if you know you wouldn't, in a particular fruit or vegetable, eat as many as it takes to make, say, a glass, you may get more from drinking a glass of juice. That's why juicing is so important, because juicing will give you a number of fruits and vegetables in it, as opposed to eating the whole fruits. But if you can eat things in its whole form, then yes, it's certainly fine.
Right, but Dr. Corey, you got to understand the listening audience. So when you talk about the juice, you're not talking about, getting that juicer and putting the pineapple in there and getting the juice. We talk about going to the store and getting that can and opening that can and pouring it in and just drinking it.
Yes, and growing up, that is the only way I ever knew pineapple existed, was in that can.
Right.
So yes, that dull pineapple juice in the can is not what we want. If you're talking about juice, we're talking about live, fresh juice from a juicer. Or even if you put the pineapple in a processor or one of those high-speed blenders and you kind of emulsify it, that's fine. But when you're talking about bottled or canned juices, that is not how we optimally want to get our juices. We want it to be something we freshly squeezed or freshly pressed or juiced in a juicer. And I'm not saying everyone will have access to that, but I'm just giving you sort of the ideal situation. So what you can do that, and at least you'll have the information
there you go,
for
folks.
it.
Now, Dr. Core, my partner in development over here, Shannon Wright, now she's a connoisseur of healthy eating. And so she might have something that she want to add to this discussion, or she might have a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Shannon.
Okay. I'm really just listening. Like we grow a lot of our own vegetables and all of our herbs and all of that here. But I guess if I were to have a question, which I really don't, it would be, how do you balance eating for the difference in the temperature and the climate? And that's why, in the winter time, my grandmother used to always talk about stick to your ribs kind of food.
Stick to your ribs.
And a lot of those things
like
that
grits.
make something stick to your ribs have that higher, that more carb concentration.
Yes.
So how do you adjust that?
That's true. Well, usually that whole sticking to the ribs type of thing, we usually want to eat things like that in the winter months when it is colder outside. And even if we were doing that, that would be what I would say, follow the seasonal kind of vegetable guide, things that grow in the fall and in the winter, for example. So root vegetables, greens, your turnip greens, your collard greens, your kale, things like that. That's more than enough of that kind of sticking to rib type of food. And then, yes, if we can grow things, whether right in our backyards or in pots inside our homes, it's always best if we can grow things ourselves, because then we can control what to put on it, whether or not the soil is good,
folks,
whether or not
if you don't have the number, you can get my number. My number 443-839-8412. 443-839-8412. Or you can get it from Halim. Halim has the information. Great day, Baltimore.